Hello everyone, it's the hardcore legend Mick Foley wishing a nice day to everyone there, right there at True Heel Heat. Yeah! What's up, True Heel Heat? True Heel Heat. What's up? True Heel Heat. All hands with
Yo, what up? You know what it is. It's your boy AJ Francis reporting to you live from New York City, the birthplace of hip-hop. And I'm telling you that I'm only tuned in with True Heel Heat Wrestling. Holla at me.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for our WWE Bash in Berlin 2024 review, breaking down the latest WWE Premium Live event from Berlin, Germany, the first PLE from Berlin, Germany in WWE history. And of course, to do that, I am joined by my esteemed colleague, my co-host over on the True Heel Heat flagship podcast. It is the True Jaw Josh. How are you doing?
Doing good. Got a busy Sunday ahead of me. Celebrating my 7th year anniversary with Wendy. So look forward to the day itself and actually talking about a good PLE.
Another good PLE from WWE, but we want to know what you guys think about it. As always, we're going to give you our thoughts, our opinions on yesterday's show, but we want to hear from you as well. We appreciate y'all for joining us live. We appreciate y'all for watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. Drop the thumbs up on this video. You can share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, if you're watching us on Facebook, drop a heart, a like, an angry emoji, a laughing emoji, however WWE Bash in Berlin made you feel. But if you're watching us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, I don't know if you're watching us on Instagram. We're not streaming on Instagram, but maybe somebody shared it with you. You could send a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here, and we always appreciate that type of support. We got in the chat with us today, we got Eric Isaacs, who is our he puts us all together, and he just describes the shows very, very well. So I love reading out his comments. He says, hello, THH fam. Punk gets revenge on Drew. Jade and Bianca are champs again. Terra Twins stand tall. And Cody and Gunther retain indeed. We also got I Make Beats, one of the members of the channel. You can hit the join button for $1 a month and become a member of the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. You get exclusive content and exclusive in-chat perks, including our TNA Emergence preview. I'll probably do a review for our members and Patreon back as well for TNA Emergent. But I Make B says, yo, 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 fun little pay-per-view there. I agree with you. Indeed. We also got the Mark Hook Show, who I was just on over on the number one pro wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. I was on his show earlier today and his YouTube channel. He says, hey, that SP3 guy looks familiar. Indeed. Indeed. And we got Mr. Moneybanks himself, Chase Oliver, chilling with Chase. Thank you so much, good brother, who joined me earlier this week on Rated Raw reviewing Monday Night Raw. He joins us today with a super chat donation. Thank you so much, Chase. You're spending that Bryan Danielson winnings of All in London very, very well. Did you hear this story, Josh, that he caught the Bryan Danielson bet when it was plus 250 for Bryan to win at All In, and he bet $100 on it?
Oh my God.
He cashed in, and he's been spending the money good with the super chat donation, showing his support as only Chase can. He says, happy anniversary, Josh and Wendy. Hope this money good for parking or something in New York.
Well, I mean, it's good because I don't drive. It'll be good for the subway, though.
You're giving Josh a good start to the September invoice he's gonna give me. We got
That's right. I still got to give you the other one. That's right.
Yes. Queen Monet says, hey guys, good to see you in the chat today. We missed you, Queen Monet. We also got Chilling with Chase, who says, well, this is my Jade and Bianca winning. Really? You caught Jade and Bianca as well? This guy, I need to find. You need to give me a link or send me a referral so I can join whatever you're joining. Hopefully, it's equitable in the UK, because not many streaming or betting sites are good in the UK. I've been staying off of what was I on before? DraftKings or whatever it's called. Yeah, they don't have it here in the UK, so I've been losing less money. We also got Alex Fowl, who says, fun show, best PLE since France. I think SummerSlam better because it was more noteworthy.
Yeah, like this one was a fun. I think it was
best.
Yeah, I mean it was fun, but like to stack it up, I still got WrestleMania Night 2, and SummerSlam, and then WrestleMania Night 1. Like those are my still top 3.
I would say WrestleMania Night 2, SummerSlam, and Backlash France is my top 3 for WWE.
Yeah, I think Backlash for me is like number 4 because of that crowd itself. They basically made like a lot of the matches, in my opinion, for that. So I think that's like top 4 is not bad. This one, I mean, it's not a bad pay-per-view, but it kind of tells you the direction of the WWE. Like they're having good PLEs. Not all of them are going to be top 5. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the way I look at it is kind of like the MCU, right? Every time a fucking Marvel film comes out, everyone's like, is this a top 5 MCU film? No. It's like I got asked that about Deadpool Wolverine. He asked me, is that a top 5 MCU film? I said no. I was being honest. I said no, that is definitely not. If you stack it up with the other films, definitely not a top 5 film. And I think
last one that I was like that with MCU, where it was like it was a debate, is Guardians 3.
I would say yeah. I agree with that. Like something like that. But like with the WWE PLEs is like, you know, we kind of know their formula, but it's kind of like we know their formula, but now it's like not getting to a point, but it's like we're getting solid shows, like we're getting good shows. It doesn't mean every show has to be like, oh, this is a show of the year, because I think my opinion, we still kind of have that with WrestleMania Night 2. I don't think you're not going to top anything with Night 2, in my opinion. And you don't need to. WWE doesn't need to do that. If you just go out, have a solid show, that's all you really need from them.
Yeah. I may be saying he just rewatched KO, Cody, Drew, and Punk, and both were great. I think this show had 3 great matches on it, but only one of them that I would say is like in the running for a WWE match of the year. But having 3 great matches on a show is usually a thumbs up show. Spoiler alert. So You got Alex Powell in the chat who says SummerSlam goes down because that main event and the weaker Punk versus Drew match, which I guess you could say is a fair assessment as far as the main event, but I don't think the Punk and Drew matchup is as weak as you could say it's weaker than the match that we saw tonight, but the show overall, SummerSlam was so noteworthy. You had 4 new champions. You had the Dom turning on Liv, the implosion of the Judgment Day, Roman's return. Like the WWE is not only graded on its in-ring, it's graded on storylines and story progression. And SummerSlam had that in spades to make up for a weaker main event, or if you thought Punk and Drew was weaker on that show in comparison to this one.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at myself with that because, like, again, Punk and Drew, I thought it was a great match. It was my match of the night. I still stand by that. I know people had other ones, which is fine. You know, I just don't think it was a bad match. I know people are saying I don't see how it was bad. Yeah, you know, Musty Phil was a little bit rusty, but that's expected, right? That's expected. He hasn't been in the ring in months, and he's like 45 at this point. But the storytelling itself carried the match, and that's always Punk's strong suit when it comes to his wrestling. So it's still, and then you know the main event. I mean, main event was it was trash, but then Roman did save it. Like if it wasn't for Roman, you're talking about all time bad main event for the company.
And you still got Dave Meltzer who gave it 4 stars. So
he was drunk.
Drunk Uncle Dave, the dud, D-U-D, Drunk Uncle Dave.
You know how they say about the drunk uncle at the barbecue? that was Dave at SummerSlam.
That's Dave Meltzer for sure. We got I Make Beats who says I wanted Drew to win 2-0 over Punk for their third matchup. I was like you. I had hope, but they let me down.
I knew that shit was not going to happen. I knew, it's WWE formula. It's 50-50 booking. Oh, we have a trilogy going on. Oh, with this person, unless it was like Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes again, when Cody won all 3 matches. Then that's a different story. But then also that was under Vince, so that wasn't under Trips. I just didn't. I don't know. There was something telling me, I'm like, they're going to give Punk this win because technically he's not pinning Drew. He's not submitting Drew, right? He has to touch the 4 corners. So in a sense, I mean, it's probable for Drew. Like you're not necessarily making him look weak in a sense because you're not pinning him. But there was something about it. I was like, nah, he's not going to go down 2-0 and then have a third match. At that point, Drew won the feud already then. I was like, there's no point. There's no point of a third match at that point.
Hey, you can win the feud by winning the last matchup. That's what Tommy Dreamer did with Raven and ECW. But
yeah, but then he lost to Raven like 800 times.
Yes, and he won the last matchup. He won the feud.
What?
He won the feud. He won the last match. He won the feud.
What kind of shit is that? What kind of shit is that? Yo.
We got another super chat donation here from Chuck Berries. Thank you so much, Chuck Berries, for the support. Everybody's showing some love to Josh already. He says, happy anniversary to Josh and his future wife, and night to the Viper, courtesy of the Ring General.
I appreciate it. And that's true. Right? He did go to sleep. Unfortunately.
Go night, nigga. To be fair, Vala B, I think it's because my missus's aunt has a whole bunch of coats that is blocking the light from the window out there. So that's why I look a little darker, and I am black, to be fair. To be fair to me. We got I Make Beats who says, I'm a drunk uncle with no nieces or nephews. Hey, I have 4 nephews. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 3 great nephews and 1 great niece. And I'm the drunk uncle, even though I
have 3 great. he said you said 3 great
nephews and 1 great niece. It's grand. I think it's grand. I'm a great uncle, pun intended. But it's not grand uncle. It's because my nephews
they
have
have
kids
kids.
of their own.
Oh, right. Because I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, yo, he sound old, and then that makes sense because Wendy's like that too.
Yeah.
Her niece has 2 kids, so technically those are her great niece and nephew.
Yeah, because I was told that it's not. I thought it was like grand. They're my grandnephew, grandniece, but someone told me before it was like, no, they're their great niece, great nephew. I was like, well, you're just aging me up then. Damn.
Great,
what are we doing?
You go from basic to just really old. That's kind of crazy.
It's very true. Mark Hogue says Meltzer would give 4 stars to me dressed as Santa attacking the Grinch. This is true. This is true. Dave Meltzer.
Well,
this is
he'll
why.
give it to
This
you
is
too.
why I tried to pull
behind it. If the crowd was behind it, he'll give you 4. That's the key. If the crowd you get no pop, he'll probably give you like 1 and 3/4 or something.
And this is why, if you missed out on the True Hill Heat Flagship podcast yesterday, I pulled out the strap on Dave Meltzer. I was like, give me the fucking stars. Give me the fucking stars. Follow my star ratings, not this drunk son of a. But yeah, Dave Meltzer. Thanks for inspiring me to make star ratings. We also got a congrats for Josh in the chat from I Make Beats. Thank you so much. Marco says, you're black? LOL. I know, it's like crazy. It's like crazy. Some people get confused. Some people get confused sometimes. He said your Bala B says your skin like bourbon, baby. Hey, we got Prince and Wendy. It feels like we're back in X-Men 97 season. I'm seeing Wendy on a Sunday.
We are.
He's about to take a walk outside.
Okay. Good to see you, Prince. We love seeing you here. We also got Aubrey James with another super chat donation. You guys are killing it so far. We're just getting started. I haven't even got to the show yet because y'all are chatting heavy in the chat today and sending those super chat donations. Aubrey James says, what's up, guys? I have Liv Morgan beat Rhea and have Rhea chase and win it at Rumble. Bianca Belair win the Rumble and turn heel. I think that, Aubrey, that sounds like a good idea, but I feel like WWE is just kicking the ball down the road when it comes to Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. And I think it's more likely we get a Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill matchup at WrestleMania next year instead of Rhea and Bianca.
Same,
what do you
same, yeah, same. Because there's no substance there between Bianca and Rhea. They're way too far apart. Bianca is on SmackDown. She's been showing up on SmackDown. There's nothing there to be, there's nothing there to go back to yet. Obviously, I think the route is going to be ended up being Bianca versus Jade. This is a matter of how they do it and how they get there. But Bianca is staying away from the title picture for a while, and we don't know how long. But it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a while.
Yeah, seems so. I wouldn't mind it at all if you're right, Aubrey James. Just want to preference that. I wouldn't mind it at all. And I honestly feel like Jade and Bianca could be for the WWE Women's Championship since they're over on SmackDown, because I don't know what you would do with like either a Nia Jax or a Tiffany Stratton being the champion going into WrestleMania, other than Charlotte Flair returning and facing one of those women at WrestleMania. So, yeah. I mean, if they want to transition and have Bianca be the one who dethrones Nia Jax or dethrones Tiffany Stratton after she cashes in to set up Bianca and Jade for the championship, that might be the way to go. And then have Jade win the Royal Rumble and get that run.
Yeah, the following year. And then there's no rush. You know how Triple H is. He drags a lot of stuff, so there will be no different.
well, we know we have a GPS, we have a North Star that we're going towards, so we just follow the GPS and we're going in different directions and we just pivot, along the way, and it's gonna be perfectly fine.
There's no
We're gonna
GPS trips.
destination.
I'm like, there's no GPS trips. You're just making this shit up.
And yes, in fact, Wallaby, Bianca was on Belair, the newest episode. I'm still catching up. I just finished episode 1, which was good. But let's talk about Bash in Berlin. What did you think about the crowd yesterday in Berlin, Germany, Josh?
The crowd was good. I think it's again, the way that I take it is we're getting accustomed to these hot crowds in overseas. That is kind of like, feels pretty normal at this point. But it was a great crowd. 13,000 people showed up, right? That's a lot of
13,149 was the crowd, was the attendance.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking people. Like, it's a lot of people. And so
WWE announced that it was their largest live gate for a premium live event in the company's history, which had a lot of those Berlin people cheering. And I was just like, why are you cheering that you paid so much money?
Oh my God. Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. Sometimes it's like,
you want to know the math on that? So I think it was Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer. He said with 13,000 in the building, and the largest gate prior to that was around 3.5 million. So this had to be above 3.5 million. The average ticket price, not the best seat in the house, but the average ticket price, even in the nosebleeds, $300.
That's for a 5 match show. I mean, they have
300 euros. That's more. That's more for us Americans.
That's more American money. That's more. Yes. That's more in American. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. I mean, hey, I'm not hating on the business. They WWE knows what they're doing. Obviously, more money for them. Like, I'm not a hater on that because it's not my money. It's like
not my money. So make that money, WWE. Make that.
Props to them, but it's just like every time it's always like a fucking new record. It's like, all right, guys, we get it. You guys are making money. That's just how I take it at this point. It's like, I get it. Every time you go to a new fucking spot, we set a new record. Okay, we get it. We understand. But it's because of the prices like that. But you see why they do overseas. Like, I know a lot of people were saying, like, why don't do United? This is why they're doing a lot of overseas PLEs, and I can't blame them for it. If you're talking about you get this, and you said average, if you get that average for a show like that, you're gonna take it no matter what. So again, if I'm a business, that's the direction I'm going. If I could feel like I'm making an investment back, I'm doing it. And clearly they're making an investment back. So, why not?
Why not at the end of the day, for sure. But Bash in Berlin, we saw to kick off the show, Gunther, Randy Orton, CM Punk, who was wearing a Bret Hart sweatshirt, Drew McIntyre, Rhea Ripley, and Damian Priest, Liv Morgan, and Dominik Mysterio, all shown arriving at the arena. There was a long video intro about like them being in Berlin and stuff like that. Sorry, I didn't really pay attention. Cole announced a sold out crowd of 13,149. Cole and Wade Barrett were our announcers, who I think did a really good job. Like, honestly, hearing Wade Barrett and Michael Cole together on SmackDown and then on Bash in Berlin, I was like, why are they having Wade go with Joe Testatori? Like, wouldn't it make more sense for Joe to go with Corey Graves, who's more experienced at being the color commentator, and just stick Michael Cole and Wade Barrett together full time on SmackDown until you want to make that change when Pat McAfee comes back?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. Obviously, when that happens, somebody's gonna be the odd man out. I just think they're at a point where it's like don't necessarily need Pat. That's just my opinion. You really don't need him. But you know they're gonna keep him, and with this other guy that's coming in, we don't know what he brings to the table. I have very low expectations just because again we've seen guys who transition from sports to WWE and they never do well. It doesn't mesh well. It doesn't go well. The only one I could think of that was pretty solid was the MMA guy, but they weren't too fond with him. Like they were like, you know, his stuff. But he transitioned way better than what was the other guy during the pandemic? He was awful. The one I used to work on ESPN, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I forget because there was Jimmy Smith. I think that was the first one you're referring to. Jimmy Smith was the one who did MMA. Then there was
he came after because he replaced
Kevin Patrick was not that good. Kevin Patrick.
He wasn't good, and I think it was a situation where Kevin Patrick just had zero experience in that, and I think he was just put in the situation where it was like, man, you're making this guy like sink. And
it was Adnan Virk.
Yeah, him. He was awful. He was garbage. He was garbage. Like he was not only he was garbage in ESPN, but he was worse in WWE. He was worse. Fucking awful. Like he was awful.
You know what? That was so short of a run that I completely forgot it. Completely.
He was bad. Like he was because you know what it was too, man. There's people who were just like a little over the top. Like you know when they had like Renee had that nice fill in, but then they're like, oh, let's make her full time, and it's like, no, you don't do that because this is not her thing. And then you kind of saw like this wasn't like you know when you try to do too much or you go over the top or when you're just not comfortable, it's not for you. Like.
Some people can be a great backstage interview. That's what Renee is. Like she's a fantastic and all-timer. It's her and Mean Gene Okerlund, like in the GOAT conversation for backstage.
Oh, I agree.
Interview.
I agree.
Like when you try to make they never tried to make Mean Gene a play-by-play guy or a color commentator because that's not his thing. Like I don't understand why they even tried that with Renee.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's why Patrick himself, Nick, was put in that situation. Like it was kind of unfair. So, like, of course, he was going to be bad because that's not what you hired him for. So it was very unfortunate.
Coachman was actually pretty good as a backstage interview. Then they tried to make him a freaking color commentator, and he was not good.
Yeah, his second run was awful. Second run. It wasn't very good. He was good like when he's a heel and he's in a character. That's when he was better like broadcasting. He was better like that. But when you're trying to like dumb it down, we've seen it all. Like Jerry Lawler, when they tried to like cut out all that stuff and just make him regular, wasn't very good. It's not very good stuff. So yeah, Wade and Cole, they really meshed well. Yo, that line though, Cole said to Wade Barrett, "Oh my God." He was like, "No wonder you're both your."
Oh, no wonder all your factions. All your factions didn't last too long.
No, he said he used the words failed. He said no wonder.
Failed. But this dude came back at him later in the night during the mixed tag team matchup when Wade Barrett was fucking incredible. During the strap match and the mixed tag team matchup. Him saying that freaking Dominik Mysterio's mustache is the best one since Eli Cottonwood. That popped me.
Oh my God.
Then when Cole is like over the top with like, oh, why are you not going in the ring, Dominik? And Wade says, Dom is a slow lover. He likes to take his time. I bet your wife wishes that you were like that, Michael.
Damn. Yo,
he was like, I'm gonna clap back at you.
I like the fact that they're throwing zingers at each other. I like the fact that they're using Cole, even though like we all know like Cole is kind of like that baby face commentator now, but he's like throwing zingers back. Because remember back in the day, it was the baby face that usually kind of stood quiet, and it was more the heel commentator that would throw it. Like he'll throw like mad shots and throw darts and Usually they don't kind of really say anything back, but now he's starting to see a different approach because Michael Cole, regardless, Michael Cole got some nice clapbacks. Yo, he's very fucking sneaky with it. Very fucking sneaky. So when he said that shit with the factions, I was like, damn. And he was quiet. Wade Barrett was quiet after that. He was quiet. I was like, damn. I was like, I hope like that was part of the plan because
Yo, for real.
It was a long pause.
He was kind of quiet. He was kind of quiet.
Yo, it was a long pause until, like, of course, he got him back during the match.
Yeah. We got Alex Powell who says Wade might be my favorite second heel commentator, as Nigel is the first. We also got I Make Beats. He says Wade was too funny. He must have watched Gabe Kidd on commentary in the G1 and taken some notes. Hey, Gabe Kidd, one of the best commentators in the game. And yes, and I think most of us want to forget Mike Adamle, to be fair, Mark. We just want to forget him. We don't want to remember him. We do want to forget him.
I read the name and I was like, oh shit, it just came back to me.
Oh, but the show kicked off with the undisputed WWE Championship up for grabs. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, defending against Kevin Owens. Both guys entered to huge reactions from this Berlin, Germany crowd. They shook hands at the start of the matchup. They locked up and there were loud dueling chants. Owens countered Cody's attempt at a Cody cutter and a disaster kick early on. He followed up with a big senton. They countered each other's finishers and went nose to nose, not so friendly anymore. Owens caught Cody on an attempt of a suicide dive and hit a cannonball off the apron. Rhodes knocked KO off the apron with a disaster kick and then hit a nice little tope suicida as the crowd started cheering. They started singing the Cody Rhodes name song. Cody, or whatever it is. Rhodes applied a figure four leg lock, but Owens was able to get the rope break. Owens knocked Rhodes out of the ring and hit a frog splash off the apron. They knocked each other down with clotheslines, but Rhodes fired up and hit a big power slam, followed by the disaster kick. Owens blocked the Cody cutter again and hit a German suplex and a super kick, but Cody quickly followed up with the Cody cutter after that to get a near fall on Owens. They exchanged strikes until Owens hit a pump handle neck breaker for a 2 count. Owens hit a rolling senton off the middle rope for a 2 count. The crowd at this point was chanting, "This is awesome." Rhodes blocked a stunner attempt and he hit the crossroads out of nowhere for a very close near fall in the matchup. Owens he tried to put Owens on the top rope for a superplex, but Corey Graves has told us time and time again, you can never hit a superplex on Kevin Owens, and he reversed that into an avalanche fisherman buster for a 2. They punched each other wildly before the fans were chanting like crazy. They started trading super kicks. We got a super kick party between the two of them. Rhodes went to the top rope and tried to go for the super Cody cutter, but his leg gave out. The same knee that Kevin Owens mentioned during the SmackDown promo has been giving Cody problems after the European tour. Owens looked very conflicted about going after the leg, and he stopped himself. Rhodes rolled out of the ring to recuperate. He then told Owens that he was okay to fight him. So Owens decided to kick his leg out of his leg. He then followed up and set him up for the apron powerbomb on the edge of the ring frame, but he stopped himself again. He pushes Cody into the ring. Wade Barrett is going apoplectic about where's the killer inside? Where's the killer? He doesn't have that killer instinct anymore. Owens yelled at him and said, "Shut up, you idiot." Owens came inside and he hit the stunner for a 2 count. Cody then reversed Owens when he looked for another stunner and hit the crossroads. He hit a second crossroads. He was going for a third, but Owens reverses it into another stunner and gets a 2 count once again. Holy shit chants from the fans. Owens goes to the top rope for a senton, but Cody gets his knees up. He then follows up with the crossroads for the 1-2-3. Cody Rhodes retains the undisputed WWE Championship, and what I thought was a great matchup with a hot crowd throughout that were cheering for both guys. They didn't choose either guy to be the heel in this one. They were firmly behind Owens, firmly behind Cody throughout. After the matchup, Owens looked very much dejected after the loss, but Owens did not turn on Cody. He turned his back at first. Rhodes tried to embrace him, but then KO turns around and he eventually hugs Cody. He does look conflicted in his eyes, but he decides to raise Cody's hand. I loved a little bit of storytelling after the matchup with KO deciding, telling Cody to not raise his hand as he wanted to show respect to Cody and didn't want the respect back. So he's very much in his feelings, it seemed like. But man, what a great way to kick off the show. I gave this one 4 stars. What did you think about the opener to Bash in Berlin?
I think it was very solid. Obviously, it was more about the storytelling. It was more about like the injury to Cody and KO not trying to take advantage of it. There was multiple times where he backed off. He didn't want to do it. And basically that's kind of what cost him the match, in my opinion. As in like, that's just what they were telling. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good opening match. I know there was like, you know, we have like a lot of these Roman grifters on Twitter. Not you, because you're a big Roman fan, so you don't do anything with Roman or have a fucking profile picture of Roman, and you know you have like a Hug a Pataki shrine of Roman. So I know they were trying to like use the fact, or like, oh, that Roman every time when he worked at PLE, he worked every main event. You know, and we got Cody here opening matches, like, so they were trying to like use that as some kind of like win or like some kind of gotcha, like, oh, this doesn't make Cody a great champion. You really think Cody was gonna fucking main event a Germany show when you got Gunther coming in? Like, what? Like, you really thought that was gonna happen? That was weird. But it was a solid match, and I'm like, if that was the match you were gonna go with, that was a good opening match. I think if you would have done it the other way around, like this was the main event, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, would that have been a great main event compared to like what we ended up getting? I still would stick with the main event that we got compared to like, just leave it from the beginning. That's fine. Cody was retaining anyway. I mean, regardless, like the main event, yes, but it was more of a homecoming. And that's why that made sense. But I just wanted to get that out there. Overall, I mean, it was a good match. It's going to be interesting to see what they go from here, because obviously you see KO, like, he was, you know, like you said, he was in his feelings about it. He was in his feelings, but this is kind of a side we haven't seen from Kevin Owens, because every time something like this to happen, he just turns heel. So I kind of like the approach that they didn't do that, because I think that would have just been way too obvious.
I thought it was really great storytelling on Kevin Owens' part. Like, you're giving him his whole arc for him, and you kind of spelled it out in this matchup where he's worked on himself for how many years. He repaired his friendship with Sami Zayn, and now he has genuine friends in the business, whereas before, he was the prize fighter and he turned his back on anyone he got close to. He has grown, especially throughout the whole Bloodline saga and the feud with Roman Reigns. He's grown into a better person, and he chose being still on the right path of being a guy that is upstanding. He didn't want the excuses that he had in the past. Like, he laid it out in the promo on SmackDown before, that his Universal Championship run is something that people hold against him because he only got it because of Triple H, and he didn't want that asterisk next to him. He didn't want to take advantage of Cody's injury, because that would just be another asterisk of, oh, you only won the WWE Championship because Cody was hurt. He wanted to win it the right way. So I love the storytelling there, and I love both guys' performances, and I think this was in the right spot as the opener of the show. I will say, though, to a little pushback, and I wanted to hear from you on this because we got our good brother, Jimmy Macaram, who more and more is showing that he is a Roman Reigns fan as well. And I will say, I've been very critical of the booking of Cody Rhodes as undisputed WWE champion because this rivalry, the AJ Styles rivalry, and the Logan Paul rivalry can be described as one thing. Cody is a fighting champion and he respects his opponent. He hasn't really given anything to really sink his teeth into outside of the Solo Sikoa and Bloodline rivalry, which is just an extension of his 2-year rivalry with Roman Reigns. Like, he needs something, and he needs something immediately because it's becoming evident to people like Jimmy Macaram and also to me that I think that WWE doesn't believe in him as the number one guy, and they still think that that Roman Reigns is the number one guy in this company.
I don't. Man, it is an interesting take. It's not so much I disagree with that. I still think that they still view him as a top guy and as a champion. I still, just because of everything else that they're doing with him, marketing wise, merch wise. So until that changes, then to me that's a different story when it comes to that. But I do agree with like his reign itself. I thought his reign has been better than I honestly expected because again, we've always said chasing the title is always better than the actual reign, right? So maybe that's a case of that too. But certain people, like when he had the Styles feud, there were great matches, but then it's AJ Styles. Like he hasn't been AJ Styles since what, 2017, 2018? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's part of the problem too. It's like you're giving him this, and then Logan Paul already had another belt. And did you really think Logan Paul was gonna beat Cody Rhodes? It's a fun matchup, but it's like there's nothing there. Like, you know what I mean? And then Kevin Owens, you really think Kevin Owens was gonna beat him? Good matchup, but you need guys that are gonna be believable. That's gonna really challenge him. So that's where I agree with you there. Like, you want this reign to be something like it means something that needs to happen because but again, it is WWE. Every time you do see a matchup, it's like, yeah, this person's gonna retain it. Yeah, this person's not gonna lose it. But they need to do something that gives them that adversity again. Like, shit, you need to keep your title. You gotta, So I do agree with that sense that they need something more significant when it comes to that. And it, again, obviously the strongest point is the bloodline stuff, and I think they're coasting until WrestleMania, right? Because it's either going to be The Rock again, right? I said The Rock again. It's either going to be The Rock, maybe that's going to be his opponent, or they run Roman versus Cody back a third time. We don't know. We don't know what it is at this point. But I do agree there are points, like there are strong points. I necessarily don't agree with like they don't view him as this guy, because I think they still do. It's just a matter of booking. I think that's what it is.
That's fair. That is fair. I wanted to hear your opinion on it because I know you're a Cody guy, a Cody Rhodes fan. So I wanted to hear your opinion on that take because I'm kind of in the middle where I do get where you're talking about that WWE has put a lot of investment into the Cody Rhodes character as the top heel, but I also get the sense that they're not bringing the creativity that we got in the Roman Reigns title.
Yeah, and I just feel like they're coasting. I think they're trying to coast until Mania. And I think that could be a detriment in a sense. But then also, Cody is, they are coming off the longest reign, right? From Roman Reigns. Like, you're talking about a guy that had the title for 4 years. And then he got the second title, 2 years ago? Like, it was like 2 years. So then, they made this big deal of 1,300 days. So it's really hard to like try to match that or top that, because you're not going to top it no matter what.
This title reign, the best historical for like old school fans, this title reign feels very much like Macho Man's title reign from 1988. where Cody has the title, but he's not Hulk Hogan. That's how Roman is Hogan. Roman is Hogan, and Cody is Macho.
Yeah, I could feel like that, and I think that's part of the thing too, because again, we witnessed a long historic reign, which I know a lot of people weren't too fond of because he had it for too long. At the same time, I'm not for a company to get somebody off the belt, but he had it for too long, let's get the belt off of him. I want it to make sense. I want it to mean something. So by the time that they got the belt off of Roman, it meant something. So that I'm not against. Like, long reigns I'm never against, because I think those days of like, somebody's a 5-time champion, 6-time champion, I think those days are gone. Like, I think it's not impossible somebody's gonna win multiple, but again, there's no emphasis on that. Like back in the day, it was like during the Attitude Era when Austin kept winning the titles.
It's on long title reigns,
yeah. So like back then, it was more of like, this person's a 2-time champion, 3-time champion, 4-time champion. We're not getting that anymore. We're getting like, this person was champion for like 250 days. Like we're getting stuff like that now. So it's like we're within the times. So it's like,
I don't know if this is a sarcastic question or you're really serious. He says, how many guys did we really think was going to beat Roman for the title outside of Drew and Cody? They thought he was going to lose the title at WrestleMania 37 when he was against Edge and Daniel Bryan. People legit thought Edge was going to win that matchup. People thought Brock Lesnar before day one, before Roman got sick. That it literally was reported that Brock was going to beat him at that show before Roman got sick. That's why Brock won the WWE Championship that set up the title versus title match at WrestleMania 38. Then it was Drew at Clash at the Castle. Then it was Sammy at Elimination Chamber. People legit thought Sammy was going to win that. Then it was Cody at WrestleMania 39. Then it was Jey Uso at SummerSlam 2023. There was a small minority. It wasn't as big as the other examples, but it's multiple times, Will. Don't get it twisted. Don't have short-term memory and forget that all the different times people legit thought Roman was going to lose the title.
And that was a lot. We were talking about when the Sammy stuff happened, we had people doing YouTube videos of like, this is why Sammy should win. This is why they need to put the title on him. It's different compared to like somebody like me or Sid because we kind of look at wrestling more logically than like a fan perspective, I would say. Like we could do both. But at the same time, it was like, Sammy was not winning. Like I felt the whole time, I'm like, Sammy's not winning. But if they have people believing, then WWE is doing their job. Like
exactly.
Right? They're doing their job, and that's a good thing.
That's why Roman had the title as long as he did, because there was multiple times people legit thought he was going to lose, and that's how he became such a big heel, because he kept winning.
People thought Cody Rhodes was going to win the first time at WrestleMania against Roman. So there's been a few times, and I think what Will's alluded to is more recent, like more like the recency stuff, like the last 2 years. Like, realistically, who was going to beat Roman? I think that's more fair to what he's asking. Yeah. But if you're looking at the overall picture, I mean, there were several times where people actually thought Roman was going to lose. Like, it happened, like you said, you mentioned like the Jade thing. I never thought the motherfucker had a shot in hell, but there was people who actually thought. There's actually people who thought Jay was going to win because of the Bloodline storyline, because of how Jay, they had a feud. Remember, like during his the beginning of the title reign, him and Jay had a feud, and then Jay obviously he joined the Bloodline and then he left, and so people actually felt like Jay needs to be the one to end Roman's title reign, but Jay is in a different pecking order when it comes to he sells merch, he's doing the Yeet stuff. But he's not that guy. Like, he's not what they're looking for. He's not the guy that they're going to market all around the world, press conferences and all this stuff. That's not who he is. And that's why I always felt like, he got no shot in hell. But it had people believing, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing if people believe. It's good.
Well, let's finally move on to the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship matchup. It was Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill challenging the current champions Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre here. Early on, it looked like the champions were surrounding Bianca Belair, so Jade Cargill gets into the ring. We get all four women battling it out. Eventually, the heels got the upper hand on Bianca and isolated her. Eventually, Cargill decided to interject herself, but Fyre hit a suicide dive on Belair. The champions worked over Belair for a little while longer. Fyre gave a tornado DDT, kicking Cargill off the apron in the process. They were using Bianca's hair braid to keep her in their corner for a while and work her over even more. Eventually, she did make the tag to Jade Cargill, and Jade Cargill started running wild, hitting some big moves. She had a big spine buster at one point. Cargill and Belair worked together, and Cargill slammed Belair onto Fyre for a 2 count. We get Fyre tried a senton bomb with Belair on Dawn's knees. They also hit their other finisher, and Jade Cargill kept making the save. It was really a story about how Jade, the two of the more inexperienced of the two baby faces, kept making the save for the more experienced Belair throughout the matchup. The big time was what the senton bomb by Fyre on with Dawn having Belair on her knees. Jade pulled Bianca out the way, and Fyre crashed onto Dawn. Cargill and Belair hit Dawn with a combo DDT into a German suplex and got the 1-2-3 in this one to once again become the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. I thought this matchup was a lot better than I expected it to be. You could still see, the times that are rough and stuff like that throughout with Jade Cargill's inexperience, but having her come in for the hot tags and putting the shine on her is helping her grow more and more. And we're going to see further progression of that with them regaining the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships here. They just need to have a dominant run. I felt like that was the one thing missing from their previous run, that it got cut short because they went to Scotland. Hopefully they give them a dominant run that these two women deserve. But this match was solid. I gave it 3 stars. What did you think?
Match is better than I expected. Solid match. I do agree with like the whole hot tag part with Jade. That's been like the strong suit when it comes to that. That is the hot tag, but then like when you really look at it, it's not so much that she's sloppy, but I think it's not so much, I want to call it sloppy, because I think there's a difference between sloppy and somebody being inexperienced. And there's times where I feel like, yeah, that's still the case with Jade. I don't know if it's nerves. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's she's trying not to mess up because it's WWE and there's a bigger spotlight. So when it comes to that, that's just something she has to work on. Will she get there? I hope so. I don't want to say, oh yeah, she will, because I don't know, because how many years in she's been in wrestling, and these are like certain basic stuff that she should get better at. But the hot tag, I mean, that's obviously the strong point. Like, obviously the crowd got behind that, and she looks good when she's doing that, because there's such like, because when it comes to a hot tag, you're just doing like certain moves, like certain like basic moves, you're doing certain things. So that's a strong point, but I think at a certain point it's gonna like, guys probably gonna have to do more than that. Like, she gotta do more with her. Has nothing to do with her. It has to do more management. Like, they gotta be confident with her skills. They gotta be confident with her. And I think once she gets that they're confident with her, I think that's when the confidence will come out with her. Like, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Once the company shows confidence in you, it's easy for you to show off
It's
that
moving up.
confidence. Yeah, because we saw that during our AEW run with the confidence that Tony Khan and that company had in her. We never saw like this kind of hesitation and this points where it hasn't seemed like she's fully confident in what she's doing, like we've seen in the WWE here. Yeah,
and I think which again, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you you're too critical on Jade. But I was like, I think I'm being fair. I'm giving fair criticism when it comes to stuff like that. Because I don't dislike her. I just want to see more. Because like, if you're presenting her as this big signing, I want her to do more. Like that's just what it is, right? And like, she looks like a fucking superhero, like, right? I want to see more,
Yeah.
but like, obviously they paired her up with Bianca because they want Bianca to teach her more. She can learn from Bianca more. So all that stuff is fine. Like all that stuff is fine. But I do agree, like, yeah, they need a long reign, like more dominant reign. At the same time, it's like there's not that many tag teams in the women's division to like really solidify.
It's a lot more than when they were around. It was just
no, it's true.
The Party Girls, Pure Fusion Collective, and Isla and Alba. You got Damage Control is back in the tag team division now.
Yeah.
You can get Candice and Indy back involved. So they got a lot more. It feels like double.
Like it's better. Like they had a lot more, but you know what it is too? It's like it's one of those things where like the substance is not there. You know what I mean? Like you could have tag teams, but then it's like, who's gonna be the one? Like, who do you feel confident with that? Yeah, they're the next champions, or like they're like the top tag teams. I haven't gotten that, so it's kind of like that's something they got to fix, like, or put more like emphasis on, because again, the tag team division for the women's tag team that has never been strong in WWE. That's why I was always against those titles. Like, I really necessarily don't need those titles in WWE. If I'm just being,
I've said before, they need to swap it. Like, the NXT should have the women's tag team titles, and WWE main roster should have a women's mid card title, because it's over. Like I have lost hope in the women's tag team title being taken seriously and them actually building the story around it, because it's been 5 years now.
Yeah, and that's why it's a little bit like, it's good that Jade and Bianca has them, but then it's like Jade and Bianca has them. Like, I think they should be doing more. That's just that's how I feel about it. Like, it is what it is. And when it comes to Chase's comment, I do like, I don't know. It's like, I think I don't want to say regress, just because like she's learning a new style in WWE, obviously, right?
Yeah.
There's certain things that she's learning. So it's really hard to say that she's regressed, but I could see why people will feel that way, because we've seen a different version of Jade Cargill in AEW. Like, yeah, she was still green. She was still learning there, but there was a more confident, there was more like, you see something there. She had a lot of singles matches too. We're not getting that in WWE. We're getting tag team matches. So obviously her style is limited to what she could do, to what we've seen. So it's just a learning period. And I guess like, because she's already has that experience, you're not going to get away from criticism. Like, that's just what it is, right? I think it's more forgiving, like somebody from NXT, like, oh yeah, this person only has 2 years wrestling. I think that's more forgiving. But, the position that Jade was in, she was being pushed like a fucking monster in AEW. That's what we want to see. And that's what a lot of people want to see. And we haven't gotten that. That's not on her. That's more on management.
I feel you on that. Next up, it was the strap match. CM Punk going one-on-one with Drew McIntyre. Samantha Irvin explained the strap match rules, saying you must touch all four corners in succession without interruption. There are red lights for Drew McIntyre, green lights for CM Punk. Yes, they're playing red light, green light, guys. I said my best description of this rule for a CM Punk Drew McIntyre blood feud. It's like playing a Mario Kart mini game in a Tekken fight,
or like flag football.
Flag football in a Tekken fight, basically. They mentioned again that Drew McIntyre lost the only ever strap match he was in, while CM Punk is undefeated in strap matches against his last one was against Umaga and Samoan strap match at Extreme Rules in 2009. This match started off with Drew McIntyre attacking CM Punk as he looked out to the crowd on the apron. He whipped him with the strap before the match even began. They got the strap around Punk's wrist, and he forced the referee to reluctantly start the matchup. McIntyre continued the assault until CM Punk was able to catch him with a GTS go to sleep. Punk decided not to go for the corners and instead started whooping McIntyre instead. Punk looked under the ring, so McIntyre hit him from behind. He then got into the ring and dragged Punk into the apron and back into the ring. McIntyre gave Cole a death stare for calling him a hypocrite. McIntyre set up for a DDT on the announce table, but Punk was able to give him a backdrop and then whip him some more. Wade Barrett complained that the match should be in the ring, but didn't say anything when Drew McIntyre was beating him up on the outside. Punk stepped off the table and he was standing on to grab a separate other table from under the ring, but McIntyre headbutted him and put the table back away. McIntyre attacked him with a steel chair, started hammering at him. Punk came up bleeding once they got back into the ring, and that added a lot to this matchup. It just felt like a gritty, physical, intense brawl throughout this one with the strap and the whipping and then the blood from Punk. McIntyre set up a chair in the corner, but Punk responded, hit the running knee in the corner, and then a big bulldog. Punk finally set up the table on the outside, but McIntyre rolled back in the ring. Punk followed him and ran into a Claymore kick. McIntyre touched three corners, but Punk yanked him into the corner chair and got the advantage back. Punk touched three buckles, but McIntyre stopped him and dropped him over the top through the table on the outside, gaining the advantage once again. Punk was in dire straits at this point. McIntyre hoisted Punk on his shoulders and began to touch each corner, but Punk was touching each corner behind his back. They had a great struggle to that last buckle as they both were just frantically trying to grab at it, which caused this great shot by the cameraman. It just looked like a bitter struggle to get to that fourth turnbuckle. You had Barrett tried to explain that this shouldn't count, but Cole screamed that it does. With the red and green lights lit up, they each struggled to touch that fourth one and wound up brawling, which reset the lights. McIntyre went for a Claymore, but Punk hit him with a big boot at the same time. Punk then grabbed his legs and put him in a sharpshooter. He had him in the sharpshooter so long that McIntyre tapped out, which didn't matter because this is touch all four corners, which did not make any sense that you had McIntyre tap out when he was losing in the end. So that was kind of redundant. Punk held it in for a while to inflict as much pain as possible. Punk let go when it seemed like McIntyre was passed out. Punk touched two corners, but McIntyre yanked him back and hit a big neck breaker. McIntyre pulled out the bracelet out of his trunks and placed it on his wrist before hitting Punk with a second Claymore kick. McIntyre touched a couple of buckles, but Punk pulled him in by using the strap. He hits a big GTS. Punk starts hitting the he saw the bracelet, he hits one buckle, he picks Drew up again, and he hits another GTS. He goes to hit touches the second buckle, and he decides to hit another GTS. He touches the third buckle. The fans are rallying behind him at this point, and Punk grabs him once again and hits another GTS, the fifth of the matchup. He's hit four straight for each buckle he was about to hit. He then grabs Drew's wrist, pulls off the bracelet, puts it on, and then he hits the final turnbuckle to win the matchup. He has won the strap match, which Michael Cole says on commentary is CM Punk's first win in WWE in 10.5 years. Punk celebrates the win on the outside, embracing UFC's Aban Elliott in the crowd. He celebrates by standing on the barricade. He stands over Drew McIntyre with his bracelet back in his possession. The fans give him a standing ovation. I thought this was a great matchup. despite these stupid rules, which never again WWE do a touch four corners strap match, because like I said, it's a fucking Mario Kart mini game for what's supposed to be a blood feud. And this matchup would have been even better and would have been, in my opinion, one of the best WWE matches of the year if it was by pinfall or submission. But the touch all four corners, I get it. It protects Drew from actually taking a loss to CM Punk. CM Punk still hasn't pinned or submitted him. He just touched all four corners, so that can be Drew's out to set up a third matchup here. But the way they did this finish, it felt like the end of the feud. He hits him with 5 go-to-sleeps, takes his bracelet back, and stands tall. Why are we doing a third matchup? At this point, I would love to see it because I've liked both of these matches at SummerSlam more than a lot of other people. You did as well. And I like this match even more. I gave the match at SummerSlam 4 stars. I gave this match 4 1/4. But like I said, this would be 4.5, 4 3/4 if it wasn't touch all 4 corners. But these two guys just have great chemistry together. This felt like a gritty, bloody battle. It felt like a struggle a lot of times. So they overcame the stupid stipulation. But I don't understand why we're going to do another matchup at this point. The way that he tapped out to the sharpshooter. He gets hit with 5 go-to-sleeps. He takes the bracelet back. That's the end of the feud. That's the end of the feud to me. Josh, what did you think about this matchup? What did you think about the finish here?
The matchup was great. It was bloodied. It was violent. That's what a strap match should be. It's just more, like you said, the stipulation of touching the 4 corners. I've never been a fan of it. I think it's a stupid concept when it comes to, in general. It's like, you gotta touch all 4 corners. Like what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's stupid. And like I said earlier, like the only thing that, it protects Drew, because like I said before, I was like, it doesn't necessarily hurt him, because it doesn't hurt Drew because he wasn't pinned, he wasn't submitted. So that was like basically, what was for. I think that's why it was made a strap match. But the finish, they made it work. Like, I'll give them that. Like, they made it work. And I do agree. I was like, the way that it did feel like the end of the feud, this probably should have been the third match. Like, if you're going to do a third match, maybe this probably should have been the third match if that was how you were going to finish it. Because I know a lot of people are saying Hell in the Cell. I don't know. I'm like, I get it because they already have a stipulation. So you kind of have to empty annies. But I'm like, this Hell in a Cell match? I don't know. Like, what are they going to do in Hell in a Cell? Like, they're going to have a bunch of weapons and all this stuff. Like, am I excited to see it? Not really, but I am for a third match in general. But well, overall, it was a good match. Was it better than the SummerSlam one? I would say so. Yeah, just because of Punk did look better himself. I think that was probably the downport when it comes to SummerSlam. A lot of people are like, oh, he was rusty. He didn't look good. He looked better in this match. He looked a lot better. And again, they were telling the story of trying to win. Maybe they kind of focused on that a little too much towards like the last, like maybe like 10 minutes, like where they were beating each other up, and then now it was just more about trying to finish the match. So they kept focusing on touching the corners and shit. Maybe that's like my little nitpick on it. Maybe that's why for me it's like not 4.5. Like you said, 4 1/4. I think it's more because of that too. Overall, I mean, these guys have worked great. They've had 2 great matches. I'm not surprised at all. I think both guys are fantastic workers. Regardless of what I've been saying about Phil himself, he's a good worker. And I think that's part of the frustration too, is like, God, this guy's so fucking good with what he does, but then he's a dick. And now in WWE, he's a fake corporate shill now. And it's frustrating to watch.
Yeah. And Drew is honestly, he's in my top 10 current wrestlers in the business today. He's so good, and he makes these matches work. And so that's why I brought that up, Queen Monet. If they made this stipulation to protect Drew, why did he need to tap out to the sharpshooter?
Yeah, that was a little weird.
That felt like overkill. Like I did not need 5 go to sleeps. I did not need a sharpshooter to tap him out. Like it just felt like overkill to the point of it felt like the feud was ending here. It felt like the end of the feud. Which, if you're gonna do a Hell in a Cell matchup, Drew gonna have to like. I think Romeo said it in our chat. He gonna have to go to his house now and walk his dog or some shit at this point.
He said, "Walk his dog." Not Larry.
Walk his dog.
Not Larry. Not
and
Larry.
sit on the same couch as AJ. Like he gonna have to do a home invasion to set up a third matchup because we can't have a Hell in a Cell match. Oh, because Drew attacks him after this. Like you got washed, bro.
It's true. It's true. And that's why it's going to be interesting to see what they do, what the third matchup is. Because I know Punk himself is not really big on Hell in a Cell matches either. So that's going to be interesting. He might just do it because, hey, if it's best for business, he's going to do it because he's a corporate kiss ass now. So I think he'll end up doing it. But he's not very big on the match itself.
We do have another super chat donation here from Chuck Berries. Thank you so much, Chuck Berries. Thank you all. All you guys are killing it with the super chat donations. We always appreciate that support. He says Kathy Kelly interviewed Punk after the match, and he said that the feud is over, and he's coming for the world title. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Not now, not him. I mean,
I agree.
That is fair. Yeah, I think it's a little presumptuous to think that this is the end of the feud. And I also agree. Thank you once again, Chuck Berries. Also agree with Mark in the chat who says I wouldn't touch that bracelet without rubber gloves after that. And CM Punk kissed it, and it was next to Drew McIntyre's sweaty balls.
I don't think he realized it.
I don't think he was up when Drew pulled it out, but like, damn, bro, like that's kind of wild.
I was the ref. I'd be like, I seen him kiss him like, Drew pulled it out of his trunks, right, bro?
He should have whispered to him like, Drew pulled that out of his trunks. It was next to his sweaty balls.
Then you see Punk.
I got a little.
It was like, remember Kurt Angle did that, right? Didn't it happen with Kurt Angle where he got his mother back from Chris Benoit, and then he kissed it, and then he realized it where he pulled it from. He's like, "Yo, I remember that."
Oh man, that's great. That's great. Absolutely, Mark. He says Drew should post pics of where he had the bracelet when it was in his trunks. That'll motivate him. Like I got the last laugh. You kissed my balls.
Moral victory, I guess.
Moral victory after I got washed. Oh, cool. Next up was the mixed tag team matchup of Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest, the Terra Twins, versus the Judgment Day's Dominik Mysterio and WWE Women's World Champion Liv Morgan. Cole insulted Dom's physique for a lack of muscle, which he's done before, which is Cole was going ham. I love Michael Cole and Tony Schiavone, who just go in on the heels and have no chill at all. No chill at all for being very babyface announcers. This is mixed tag team rules. So once one person tags in, the person of the same gender has to be in the matchup. Priest beat up Dom as the crowd chanted, "We want mommy." Priest was about to tag her in, but Dom escaped and tagged in Liv Morgan. Liv got in Priest's face, but Ripley flew in with a drop kick. Ripley beat up Morgan until she tagged in Dom in, and Priest beat up him again. Liv Morgan caused a distraction for Priest, which gave Dom the opportunity to shove him into the announce desk and then shove him into the steel steps. Dom took over. Liv got in a cheap shot on Damian at another point in the matchup. The crowd chanted, "Fuck you, Dom," at that point. You get Ripley eventually making the hot tag after Damian Priest fights back. She comes in, she hits a big German suplex on Liv Morgan and a knee strike. Ripley saw Dom across the ring from her, and this got the biggest reaction of the night. Like, Jesus Christ, this crowd was going crazy. It went up to, I think, 113 decimals when she eventually clotheslines Dom, then brings him into the corner and puts him in the same choke with her legs that she did when she was recruiting Dom to be her basically sub in the Judgment Day. That the crowd went crazy for that. Morgan kept trying to save Dom, but Ripley knocked her aside a few times. Ripley went for the riptide on Dom, but Morgan flew in. She hits a code breaker. Then Morgan hit a nice crucifix bomb, which was shades of, I believe it was one of the Stardom talent did that move. It looked really good, Liv doing it. So I would suggest keep doing it. That might even be a better finisher than the Oblivion. Priest eventually tags in and hits Dom with a running clothesline, but Morgan broke up the cover. Priest and Ripley, they hit a double Razor's Edge at another point in the matchup and look like they're in firm control. They look like they're about to put Liv and Dom away, but JD McDonough then shows up out of nowhere to cause a distraction. This allows for that also Carlito came down. Ripley took care of Carlito. Priest punched JD off the apron, but that distraction of the referee caused Finn Balor to come in. He hits a sling blade on Priest. Dom follows up with the 619 and then a frog splash, gets a close near fall. Finn Balor is basically calling the plays on the outside, and he tells Dom to tag out to Liv. Liv comes in, and she hits a big suicide dive on Ripley. She then brings Ripley into the ring. She tries to follow up with Oblivion, but Rhea catches her. JD causes a distraction when Rhea's about to go for the Riptide, which causes Damian Priest to take out all these guys on the outside. Dom gets the better of Damian with the tope suicida. He gets him on the announce table, but Damian clotheslines his head off. Liv Morgan is just watching on the inside of the ring, which gives Rhea Ripley enough time to come up behind her, hits her with a big headbutt, followed by the Riptide for the 1-2-3, pretzel pin and all, as Rhea Ripley calls it. This one was a fun time. I had a blast watching this one. The crowd was vocal and into it the entire time. I'm going to give it the crowd bonus. I have it at like 3.5 stars in my notes, but I think the crowd bonus, the crowd being so much into this over-delivered for me. I give it 3 3/4 stars. This was a really, really fun time. What did you think about the mixed tag?
It was a fun matchup. I wasn't looking for nothing too crazy, because, usually mixed tag team matches, it is what it is one person, you tag the person from another gender, they have to get out. So there's not much, kind of feels like a one-on-one, technically, like feels like a one-on-one, but they made it work. They found a way to make it work. Dom had no botches, that's a plus for me. And then you had the run-ins, and then they failed miserably because that team still lost even with the run-ins. Oh well, idiots. But yeah,
I thought you were gonna call them bums.
I mean that's Finn. Finn's still a bum. Like, he ain't do nothing. What did he do? Like, how are you a leader? How are you a leader and your team is still losing? Like, how does that work? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is why I've been saying he's a bum. Like, you took over and you still lose. Like, all right, bro, cool. No, but like you said, it was a fun matchup. They worked well together, and I do feel like the right team did win. Obviously, Rhea and Priest, like, they're really hot on Raw right now. They work very well together. Obviously, they're fan favorites. You got to go with the hot team right now. So, right team won. It was a fun matchup.
Yeah, right team did win there. I made beats. He was one of the people during our preview who was very adamant that Liv and Dom was going to win. I was like, I don't see it.
I did not see that at all.
I don't see that at all. Not against Rhea and Damian. They are like an overpowering heel babyface tandem. They're the male and female version of the Mega Powers, basically.
And like I said, it's like Rita and Lord Zed. You think they're gonna lose to the putties? No.
So true. So true. Cyclops is better than Wolverine says there's no leader in the Judgment Day. That's why Priest got kicked out. I mean, Finn is the leader. So.
Yeah, he made it a point that he's trying to say all that shit, but it's like nah, and they still lost. So
all right, time to talk about the main event of Bash in Berlin for the World Heavyweight Championship. Randy Orton challenges for his 15th time as heavyweight champion against the reigning champion, the Reign General, Gunther. Gunther had on burgundy. Orton had on some red trunks, which was kind of new. I like those. I like those a lot. During the introductions, you had Samantha Irvin introducing Randy Orton to a huge pop, and you also had Ludwig Kaiser show up. Great camera work where you just see his hand and he gets the microphone from Samantha and does the introduction to the delight
as he
of
should,
the German
as
fans.
he should.
He should indeed. Orton got, honestly, during the entrances, he got a bigger response than Gunther did. The fans were cheering and singing his song. As soon as the bell rings, the crowd stood and sang for a full minute. Orton applauded them. 5 minutes into the matchup, the crowd started doing the wave. Orton was very amused by that and even joined them. The crowd was going absolutely nuts. And this is not the first time the fans did the wave during an Orton matchup, but it felt much different from the Raw after WrestleMania 29 when he wrestled Sheamus, because that one was out of pure boredom.
Gunther, that was just more sarcastic than anything.
Gunther wasn't amused by it. He chopped down Orton. Orton drove Gunther shoulder first into the ring steps, and he started targeting Gunther's arm. The couple of times that he tossed him into the ring step caused a big bruise on Gunther's arm, which added to the feel of the matchup and the selling by Gunther. Orton started dropping Gunther on the announce table 4 straight times to get the crowd rallying behind him. Orton targeted the arm in the ring until Gunther started mounting a comeback. Orton cut him off with a power slam. He had a nice little superplex at another point, pulling out something that he hasn't used in a while. Orton was trying to focus on the arm, but Gunther grabbed him for a sleeper, so Orton attacked the arm once again. Gunther was mounting a comeback again, fighting back, hitting some big chops and some big punches until they were trading while the crowd was going crazy, until Orton pokes him in the eye and smiles at the crowd. Orton then hits the draping DDT. He starts calling up for the RKO, but Gunther reverses it into a German suplex, or a suplex, because you're in Germany. I don't need to call it German suplex, I guess. Gunther hit a big shotgun dropkick and then followed up with the big splash off the top rope for a 2 count. Gunther tried but failed to hit a powerbomb, selling the injured arm a lot. Gunther's selling in this matchup was exceptional. He used his other arm to clothesline Orton and then tried again, finally hitting the powerbomb for a 2 count. Gunther went for another powerbomb, but Orton reverses it and hits a sudden RKO for a very close near fall. The crowd was going crazy at this point. Orton cleared the German announce table and placed steel steps by them. He started hitting Gunther on it, hits a back suplex on the steel steps. We get dueling chants of Randy Orton, let's go Gunther, Randy Orton, let's go Gunther. Orton climbs up the steel steps. He has a struggle with Gunther and then finally back suplexes him into the German announce table. The crowd is going crazy once again. Orton slid Gunther into the ring and set up for an RKO once again, but Gunther shoved him off. He applies a sleeper once again. We get a big struggle where Orton looks like he's trying for an RKO, so Gunther chops him right in the back, which you saw the sweat fly off of Orton's body at that point. Gunther reapplies the sleeper again, but Orton hoists Gunther off of his feet. He then drops him backwards. Gunther does like the freaking Undertaker and pops right back up. Reapplies the sleeper once again. He starts hitting them with repeated hammer and anvil, Bryan Danielson elbows, and then reapplies the sleeper once again. He puts the hooks in, and Orton finally, after a desperation, looking like he was about to fight back again, he finally passes out. The referee calls it referee stoppage on this one as Gunther gains the victory. The crowd cheered loudly for the Gunther win. They liked both men and would have likely popped huge for the title win, but they were very happy to see Gunther win this one. This match going over 34 minutes. It was masterfully paced in this one where they started off slow. We had good moments where they went back and forth. It felt like a struggle. The selling of Gunther's arm is probably the best selling we have seen from Gunther, where he really fought from underneath in this matchup, which is a rarity when you see Gunther in any, whether it be his NXT run, whether it be his pre-WWE run. It's very rare you see Gunther be outclassed and outsized by anyone, but he was at Orton in this one, and Orton puts on one of the best performances of his 20-plus year career. This was an instant classic. You get Kathy Kelly interviews Gunther in the post-match. He cuts the whole promo in German, hugging it out with Ludwig Kaiser, celebrating with the fans afterwards. Gunther felt for the first time in his WWE run like a genuine babyface here, shaking hands with Orton in the post-match. Orton showing him respect as a future legend in this one. What a match. I said to Jimmy Macaram, texting him, texting with him during this matchup, Jimmy Macaram's high on this one. He said this might genuinely be his second 5-star matchup in a week. And if y'all know Jimmy Macaram, he hates giving one match a 5-star match, let alone 2 in a week after he gave Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland 5 stars during our All In London redo. I wasn't as high as him, but I'm pretty close. I gave this one 4 3/4 stars. This Cody and Styles and Cody and Roman are the 3 best WWE matches of the year. And that crowd was an all-timer crowd altogether. This was amazing. What did you think?
The match overall was really great. It was a really great main event. 2 guys beating the shit out of each other. And me personally, I didn't know Orton still had that in him, because we're at a point where Orton, he is winding down his career, even though he says that he signed a 5-year extension. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, you gonna finish those 5 years, bro? I don't know. That's just where it is. I mean, he is pushing 50. He's closer to 50 than he was in his last 5-year deal. So it's like he's getting up there in age. So it was good to see that the Viper still has that. But I mean, overall, like you said, the selling of the arm injury, but then also that fucking last sequence. I think that was probably my favorite part of the match, where he's getting him in the chokehold. Orton gets out like twice, 3 times, and then the very last one, it was like it was like Gunther woke the fuck up himself, choked his ass out, and it was over. Like, I thought like that gear was needed, because I felt like if you would have done it the first time when he put him in the chokehold in the first time, and he would have won like that, I thought that would have been kind of like, it was a great match, but I don't know, match kind of, the finish kind of felt flat. I thought this was like a needed gear that they needed, because again, he got out of it. You think he was good, he was safe, and then it was over after that.
Yeah, I really felt like this was the one match on the card that really ended at its peak. They really hit it at the peak for this matchup. And I understand, we got Power Driver Finisher in the set says this match was good, but I felt like there was something I couldn't really get hyped during the match for me personally. It was probably the fact that you probably couldn't believe that Orton was going to win.
That's part of it too, maybe.
That's probably the only reason why I wouldn't go a full 5 stars. I'd say it's anywhere between, I think a fair rating for it is anything between 4 1/4 to 4 3/4. That's where I think.
To me, it was like 4.5. To me, it was like about 4.5 for me.
Yeah.
Because like, again, there was no urgency that I knew Orton wasn't winning. All I cared about was like if the guys have good performances and there was like somewhat believable stuff, I'm fine with that. And I felt like both guys did. I would say that maybe the match, I want to say it went a little too long, but there were times where it kind of just felt like it got to a point. I'm not gonna lie, I was sitting down. I'm like, damn, bro, like when this match gonna end? Gotta go outside. That's how I felt. But that's me personally, so I don't want to like use that as like a thing. But that was I felt like that. I was like, damn, like fuck, like match going pretty long. And then I think it went a little bit past 4:00. I think it went like 2 minutes past 4:00.
Yeah, the whole show was 3 hours and 5 minutes. Thank you, WWE. See, folks, this is why I complained about this stuff, because I was like, WWE, I need y'all to stop doing these 3.5 hour shows that have like an hour and a half of commercials and ads. They cut down the commercials and ads to about 45 minutes of the show, which by their standard, I mean, I was loving this show. I think this is one of the better paced shows that they've had all year. So thank you, WWE, for listening to my complaints. I will only complain about stuff I want you to change. Thank you.
Yeah, because five matches for a 3-hour show is like that's their formula.
But they gave a lot of time, because I felt like
that's
Cody
what they need to do.
Cody and Owens probably was like 5 minutes too long. I felt like the peak of that match was after Owens didn't give him the apron bomb. I thought that once he got back in, Cody should have hit the crossroads 1, 2, 3, get the match done. It didn't need all that other stuff after that moment. That moment was the peak of the matchup. And similar to the Punk and Drew, I think bell to bell, that was like 19.5 minutes, with like a little like 2 or 3 minutes before that.
Yeah, it was about 19 change.
Yeah, I would have cut down like probably less than 5 minutes of that matchup. I think at 15 minutes, that would be a better matchup without the gratuitous GTSs and stuff like that. I think that would have been a better matchup. But this one, I think they paced it very well. You know, for me personally, I thought that they paced it for a 30-minute matchup, and they delivered that.
Yeah, and then also because, like, you know, Orton, again, like I said, he is older. So the pacing, like, it needed to be that. It wasn't going to be fast pacing. Neither guy are fast paced kind of guys, and I wouldn't want them to be. If that's not what you are, don't do it. So that's why it worked out well. It worked out well. Again, it was a great matchup. Really, really nice matchup. So, I mean, it was a great main event. That's what they wanted, right? Gunther showed they put him in the main event spot and he delivered. That's only gonna make him look even better. That's gonna give more stock to him. So overall, I mean, it's a good thing overall.
Absolutely agreed there. Myron Kidd saying, I really like the Sunday afternoon for the AEW. Pay-per-views, PLEs from AEW and WWE, but they definitely can't do them in the fall/winter because of football. Yeah, 100%. They're not doing these international shows in the fall because they don't want to compete with football, whether it be college football or the pros at all. So
yeah, but WWE, there probably would be like in a better position because, like, again, you're paying for Peacock. It already pays itself when it comes to that. So it's a bit different for AEW. Obviously, they are still doing the pay-per-view charges, which I'm fine with. You know, they still they're making money off of that. So it's a different kind of approach. But I mean, I do agree they're not going to compete with football. But usually that's why the only reason why the AEW pay-per-view was the afternoon was because of the UK. So that's only like their only international show that they're doing pay-per-view wise for the year. So they're not going to be not too worried about that. I think for them is more Sundays. Like, how does the rest of the year look? I know they came out the schedule, so I'm not too sure. I know the Full Gear is in Jersey again. I know that's a Saturday. So
and I think if I'm not mistaken, Wrestle Dream is a Saturday as well.
Yeah, I think that's in Washington, right? That's back in Washington, I believe.
Yeah, Tacoma, Washington. Yeah. So we'll see. I like Saturday shows. It can start at 8 p.m. if it's on a Saturday. It's better than on a Sunday.
It's way better than a Sunday.
But that brings us to a close on WWE Bash in Berlin, guys. The final call for super chat donations. You guys have been great with your support throughout this review, and we appreciate all of that for sure. And remember to drop the thumbs up on the video. But most of all, if you're with us live and you're watching us on demand, let us know what you thought about WWE Bash in Berlin. Give us your match of the night, your MVP, your LVP, your thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. And out of 10, what did you give the show? For me and Josh for WWE Bash in Berlin in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up across the board from both of us. Out of 10, what did you give this show, Josh?
We give it like 8.5.
That's good. Good stuff. I will give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for me. This was
about
a really
8.5. Yeah, about 8.5. I would say for me.
Yeah, this was a really good show. 3 great matches. Two others that were either solid to good. That's all you can ask for from a WWE show. It's a really good to great show here. For you, Josh, what was your match of the night?
Main event.
1000% agree. It is the main event, Gunther versus Randy Orton. But I wouldn't be mad if anybody chose Cody and KO or Punk and Drew, because those were the 3 great matches on this show for sure. Even maybe there's somebody who really liked the mixed tag team matchup. They'll be high on that. So you got 4 good options out of the 5 matches here. Who was your MVP for the show?
Gunther, the man of the hour. Main evented and won, and yeah.
I want to give it to Gunther, but I'm actually going to give it to the guy I gave worst of the week to last week because he delivered here. I'm going to give it to CM Punk. He walked through McIntyre. Dude, I did not expect that shit. He washed that nigga.
He did. He
Watch
did.
that nigga.
I mean, I had him winning. I had him winning the match because remember when we did our predictions, I had him winning the match. I even went as far as to say if he fucking loses again, I'm never picking him again. So I think he probably heard me. He probably heard me talk shit.
This is true. So Josh should be the real MVP here, folks. For you CM Punk fans. LVP for the show, Josh.
LVP, Drew McIntyre. He got his ass whooped.
I don't want to give it. I want to give love to kind of all the matches on the show. So I'm gonna give it to the Judgment Day.
Oh shit, that's fair. That's fair.
I gave it to Drew for getting watched. I could have gave it for Kevin Owens for not pulling the trigger on the apron bomb, but nah, it's the Judgment Day. They got washed too. They got washed by 2 people. They had a 5-on-2 advantage, and they still got washed.
You know what's crazy? How many weeks that this? So since SummerSlam, it's been what 4 or 5 weeks, right? Since SummerSlam, and they've had how many interactions? And they've only been up once. Like they've only got like the upper hand once. Like that should all to tell you how much of fucking bums they are.
Because it was like 4 shows before Bash in Berlin. The first 2 weeks, Terra Twins stood tall. 3rd week, they stood tall. 4th week. Terra Twins stood tall on Raw.
They win the match.
They won in 5. They won in 5 games. It was a gentleman's sweep.
It's like where you go from here for the feud. Like I think that's gonna happen is like Rhea, Liv. Obviously, that match is still gonna happen. Damian and then Finn eventually will happen, but it is like at that point,
I think they're gonna push that. They're gonna kick that ball down the road, and maybe we'll get like their first matchup to get against each other this year, but like the eventual blow off is going to be maybe Bad Blood, but the eventual blow off I believe is going to be WrestleMania with them. Rhea and Liv.
That's gonna be a long. That's a long feud.
Yeah, I can see Rhea and Liv doing the Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. Liv has gotten better. She has cleaned up a lot of her ring stuff. So I mean, I think
this was one of her better performances. She was busting out new moves and she bumped like crazy. She feels like more of a natural as a heel than she did as a baby.
Yeah, and I think with Liv, like that's always been my not so much criticism with Liv, But I think my take with Liv, it was more of like, I like the fact that she's trying new moves, but they don't look good. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to do new moves, make sure you can hit that shit. And I think with Liv, for a long time, that was her issue. Like, she'll try new moves. You appreciate that as a fan, but it's like, if it don't look good, don't do it. But now it's starting to look good. You're starting to see the effort. You're starting to see all that stuff. Now, I'm saying she's not. I'm not saying like, oh, now she's great, but she's presentable. So like her putting the title on her, it kind of like, you know, what do you call it? It kind of justifies that because her ring stuff has gotten better. So you could get away with that when it comes to her. But I mean, yeah, like she's gotten better. She's, you know, and I like seeing that. I like seeing people that from talent in general, men or women. I like seeing stuff like that.
Agree with you there. So that is what we got to look forward to next. Probably getting Punk and Drew in Hell in a Cell. Who do you think is next for Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship?
So he's on Raw. Well, who's gonna be next in line? I have no idea who's gonna be next in line.
Yeah. Maybe Sheamus. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, that'd be a fun matchup because we've seen them kill it already. I think that'd be cool. It's just, I think it'll kind of fall into the Randy Orton tier of like, yeah, Sheamus not winning, but it'll be a fun matchup. Yeah, you could do that. You could kind of try to find opponents that he's gonna beat, and you keep the reign going until.
Yeah,
like,
I think I know what my main be is we had the super chat earlier where Punk said that the feud is over and he's going for the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't see them doing that matchup at Bad Blood. That's like their Survivor Series, your Royal Rumble type matchup, Punk versus Gunther.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't see that happen. Like, and then also that would be so fucking rushed. But then also it's kind of like Drew did win the first matchup, and then Punk won the second one, and now he's gonna get a title match. Like, you know what I mean? That's very Vince McMahon kind of booking if they was to do that, because he would do some shit like that. Because remember when Lashley beat Roman, it was like, oh shit, Lashley, no one can you know, he's in line for a big push. And then they had a rematch. Roman won, and then he got the title match.
Hey, you get the title match instead.
I was like, yo.
I'm trying to think of anybody else I can see against Gunther. I think someone else in the chat earlier said, what about Damian Priest, Finn Balor triple threat with Gunther? That would be a way to continue the Balor and Priest thing by just inserting them in the World Heavyweight Championship. But I need Finn to get some actual singles wins.
Yeah, and then also it's just kind of like, I don't want to make it feel like it's thrown in. That does feel kind of like forced. Yeah. And I do feel like the Judgment Day stuff is not being forced. I feel like all this stuff is coming nicely,
naturally.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want them to do that shit. Like, stay away from that. Don't. Because we all know Gunther is going to win the match. So it's like, you're going to feed him two guys just for him to win. I don't want that either.
That is true. But we're going to talk more about what's next after Monday Night Raw. Join us live here, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday for Rated Raw Review. Hopefully, Romeo will be back with me this week. If not, I will be running with a special guest once again. So join us live for that. I'll be live tomorrow at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time with our NXT No Mercy review. Yes, we're going to be doing a review for tonight's show, NXT No Mercy for Denver, Colorado. Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page for the NXT Championship. And who is the big mystery woman for the NXT Women's Division? We'll find that out tonight.
Julia.
We'll talk all about it tomorrow. I'll be joined by Fightful's own Corey Brennan, NXT Insider, for that one. So join us live. Josh, thank you so much for joining me today. And of course, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and when they'll see you again.
You can follow me, JMPunk321, Twitter and Instagram. And you can follow and I'll be back for Chill Heat 293 next Saturday.
Indeed. That should be a bunch of fun talking about any further thoughts on WWE Bash in Berlin, as well as NXT No Mercy. We'll hear from Miss Chrissy Love then. So join us on next Saturday for the flagship. Check out yesterday's flagship podcast episode. That was a great one yesterday. We had a bunch of fun talking about everything going on in the wrestling verse with WWE, AEW, New Japan, Stardom, and we had some fun talking about our best and worst of the week and matches of the week coming off the heels of AEW All in London. Check out our last pay-per-view review for AEW All in London with me and Jimmy Macaron from last Monday. Check out our NXT No Mercy preview end of our preview show that we did with WWE Bash in Berlin and No Mercy with Maggie of Fightful. That's on the channel right now. But until tomorrow, when we are live once again for the True Jaw Josh, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. Follow us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at True Hill Heat, patreon.com/True Hill Heat. The best place to support us when we are not live here. But until then, this has been our WWE Bash in Berlin review. We are signing off until next time. Later, y'all.